Okay. Yeah, so my name is Tandjung. I'm from Indonesia, and I am a 12th grade student in Sekolah Lentera, Indonesia. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Love can do that. Martin Luther King Jr. As for my topic for this speech, I was asked one question. Do you think that the racist and xenophobic violence, along with the personal discontent among minority groups, is due to a lack of action plans at both an institutional and national level? To put it simply, do you think the government is at fault for the recent spike in racist and xenophobic violence? So, are they? Well, in all honesty, my personal opinion is yes. The government is partly at fault for the recent spike in racist Asian hate crimes. You see, in any country, no matter what country it is, there's always going to be some form of racism left over towards minority groups. That much is clear from the number of racist crimes and controversies we've seen even before the pandemic. All it takes is for one major event to happen that gives them a reason to openly flaunt that racism. The problem here is that despite this, governments have not been seen to take any preventive measures to deter racist Asian hate crimes, even though we've seen the exact same thing happen before in 2003 with the SARS outbreak. And it doesn't help either that the former president of the United States himself and his allies made speeches attacking the Chinese government, which only further reinforced prejudice against Asians. So seeing these things, it's no wonder there was an outbreak of racist Asian hate crimes. How could there not be? There was nothing done to try and stop it, and in fact, it could even be said that what was done downright encouraged it instead. And as a result, these crimes have caused more than just discontent to these people. In fact, to even label it as discontent is an insult to the pain, fear, and grief that these people are subjected to. These people aren't just discontented, they're terrified. And they're outraged at these acts, and they have every right to feel that way. So, of course, the answer is yes. The rise in racist Asian hate crimes is all a result of past racist and xenophobic sentiment, as well as because of inappropriate government action. But what's the point? I'm saying all this and I'm talking about all these people's pain and suffering, but why? Why am I telling you this? All I'm doing is saying things that you all probably already know, things you could have just found out by Googling it. So why? I'll tell you why. Promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. Provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. These are the three things the 16th SDG of the United Nations calls on all of us to strive towards. Promote, provide, and build. Now, what I want you to all to focus on is how each of these sentences are written in the present tense. Not the past tense, not the future tense, but the present tense. It doesn't say that we should have promoted, or we should have provided, or we should have given. It's telling us to focus on what's happening now. Instead of just pointing fingers and blaming these problems on someone, we need to actually spend our time and effort doing something that will bring about change. In the very beginning of my speech, I said a quote by Martin Luther King Jr., a man who is known for dedicating his life to fighting discrimination. And in that very quote, he says that hate cannot drive out hate. Let that sink in for a moment. Hate cannot drive out hate. We can sit here all we want and we can hate the government. We can hate them for not doing anything. We can hate them for letting this happen. We can hate them for encouraging racial prejudice. We can hate all we want, but that will not bring about change. Shutting our eyes and blindly hating and blaming the government does no good to the people who are out there right now still living in fear and suffering. What has happened, and it cannot be changed, but what's important is what we plan and choose to do now. Look, I'm not here today to just report on what's happened and what the government did wrong. I'm here to remind everyone that we need to act. Find ways to promote peaceful and inclusive societies. Find ways to provide justice. Find ways to build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions. The 16th SDG has already highlighted everything that we as a people should be doing, but hate is not the way to achieve it. The time has come for us to start thinking of what we can do. And well, after that, all we need to do is just open our eyes and actually try to do it. Thank you.
Sure. I'd just like to ask a quick question. Do you think, after all that you've said, what needs to happen first? Government action or actions by individuals? What needs to or should happen first?
Yeah. I think what should happen first is action by individuals, because right now, what I saw is that they're only arguing about what the government did wrong and all the things they did wrong instead of trying to actually think about what we can do now. And so I think it all starts from the individual, because if everyone keeps trying to blame someone, then nothing's going to get done. And so it has to start from the individual person before we can all come together to start and try to actually think of solutions to solve this.
Great. Thank you for your answer.